Good.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Let's Grow Together podcast. We are your humble hosts, Ray McKetty,
Anna Ross.
and we are so excited to be talking to y'all today about just the next topic on the docket, which is uh, trends in STEM jobs, why it's important to be aware of what's going on in the world in terms of uh, changes in the economy, changes in what kind of jobs are available, being aware of certain changes, and yeah, just how to navigate them in an increasingly digital world. So, yeah.
All right, let's jump in.
Okay, cool.
Our first topic today is just kind of exploring what is the future of STEM? What do we mean when we say that? What kind of changes are happening in STEM? And kind of just thinking a little bit about how industries can change.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I don't think it's any secret, Hannah, that we are actively barreling toward uh, a sci-fi future. Now, whether that is uh dystopian or like hi-fi, like like on the Star Trek side, we'll see. But but all the same, we have so many things popping up right now. Uh like one, with the James Webb Space Telescope, we're discovering that all of our preconceived notions of how the universe was or is just changes day by day. So you have that. Uh, our country is not just our country, but like a lot of the world is becoming more automated. We are in the digital age, so it's just crazy to see how much stuff is leaping onto into cyberspace, into the digital world. And they're even like, I just saw this thing of there's this group called Colossal Biosciences. Have you heard of them?
I haven't, no.
They're this like it's a de-extinction startup, and they're saying that they found a way to like manipulate the DNA of elephants to trying to bring the woolly mammoth
Oh,
back.
you are talking my language. We are
I
going to need to get
my
off of this topic because if you let me get started on conservation and de-extinction, we're going to be here forever.
It sounds like that's an episode that we're gonna need to have for you, Hannah. And I'm here for that. You know what I mean? Here for you. Okay. If you want to talk about bringing the woolly mammoth back, I think that's a great idea. Fuzzy elephants. Come on, come on. But maybe that's a slippery slope, and that's just Jurassic Park waiting to happen. So I don't know.
Hey,
Don't
maybe
let-
like you said, it's our future episode.
That's
Things
true.
are changing, technology is improving, and
Yeah.
sometimes it's improving in ways we never would have thought. I think if you ask most people if they think there are people actively working on bringing back woolly mammoths and carrier pigeons and saber-toothed tigers, they probably would say no. But there
Yeah.
are a lot of different groups working on that actively, working to bring back the American lion, which was about the size of a small, like, four-door car.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh, they're trying to bring that back. Oh, is this a super villain group? No, I'm just kidding. That'd be cool, but I think they'd run out of like food in the ecosystem if you have lions the size of cars walking around. But that's just me.
Yeah, there may
Um,
be some different things roaming the Great Plains of the US now, like
true.
cars and buildings and industry, than
Yeah.
there were 20,000 years ago. But it's just one of the many changes that we're seeing in the fields of STEM, and they're
Mhm.
really cool. Like
Yeah.
you said, automation is growing in a increasingly fast way. We're
Yeah.
seeing all sorts of change happen like that.
Yeah.
But it also can be confusing and a little scary if you don't know what those changes are.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the best parts about an episode like this, where we really get to talk about what those changes are, what they can mean for you, but also remind people that change is always happening.
Yeah.
Since there have been jobs, there have been technological improvements in those jobs. If
Yeah.
you're ever in an engineering class, you'll probably talk about what a technology is. And that really is just something that people created that helps anything.
Yeah.
So, this plug, right? That's a technology.
Yep.
But this pen is also technology.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
And we are always improving and creating new tools. And that's something I'm really excited to talk about today,
All
is how
right.
all of these changes are tools for us to use.
Yeah, I'm excited to jump in about that as well, and just to balance, like, as is with our dynamic, bringing the right brain, left brain dynamic, and outlook to some of these things and how it affects the overall and affects the collective. It's going to be fun to dive into, and it'll probably be, depending on what we're able to cover today, it might be a multi, like, episode situation. So let's just jump right into it. So what was one of the I think that, like, start us off on this, it might be helpful to employ that metaphor we were using during our prep meeting. I thought it was just phenomenal. It was but I'll let you put that in your court, and then I'll alley oop the rest of the metaphor, if you will.
Absolutely. So, we were talking about change and trying to think about different ways to explain the changes that were happening right now in the STEM field,
Yeah.
because it feels like things are moving a lot faster right now than they were even 5 years ago. The
Mhm.
changes that we're seeing in technology are going so much quicker. And so
Yeah.
that brought us to the metaphor of a tsunami. When a tsunami hits, the first thing that happens before it ever reaches the land is you'll see the water start to get sucked out from the beach, right? So
Mhm.
it's all building up into one big wave. And that's your warning sign. That's
Yep.
a tsunami saying something's about to happen.
Mhm.
And you have
Mhm.
two choices at that point once you see it. You've gotten the clues, you've gotten the hint that something is changing.
Yeah.
You can either stand there and let the tsunami hit you, which I'm going to give you a spoiler alert now, is not the choice you want to make,
Oh.
or you can get yourself to high ground. And better than getting to high ground, you can take people with you. You
Yeah.
can tell people what is happening, what is changing, and you can bring people with you to that different ground.
Right.
Change in STEM may not be a natural disaster like a tsunami, but the metaphor definitely stands that you can either change or you can stay still.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, I think that that is, again, I just really loved that metaphor because, we had to also just recognize it, in a shifting and changing landscape and under our current economic model. Um, it's just one of those things where you do have to pay more attention, because, at least under capitalism, it's like, uh, competition and growth, and for better or worse, that's what it is, right? So just to that point about looking at the water getting sucked in, some statistics that I saw was that, you know uh, according to Forbes, they cite this MIT and Boston University report that AI will replace as many as 2 million manufacturing workers by 2025. That's next year. That's next year. As everybody see the water receding from the shore now, and then a study by McKinsey Global Institute reports that by 2030, at least 14% of employees globally could need to change their careers due to digitization, robotics, AI advancement. So again, the water is receding from the shore. It's coming into the ocean. There are people saying like, hey, pay attention. Uh, something that I think a lot of people can uh, really relate to is just this feeling of, yeah, but how do I prepare myself, right? When there's such a little to be honest with you, we are like the internet, cyberspace, all that stuff. This is something we also talked about, is like there's hardly any digital literacy and media literacy, social media literacy, like that's already shoddy at best. Okay. Imagine a world where we are leaps and bounds ahead of where we're at now. How do you prepare people who like they can still remember when the internet wasn't a thing, right? Uh, I was even seeing a video of somebody that was pointing out comments on Facebook where like they weren't able to tell that like images were AI generated. And so you have like these captions that are like, "Oh, I made this cake," and it's like it's got AI old lady saying, "I'm 120 years old. I made this cake made of peaches and cream. I'm so excited." And then you have people in the comments that are like, "Oh my god, congratulations! That cake looks so good." Da, 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 da. I'm like, "Yo, this is AI generated." And how long will I even be able to tell at a certain point, or any of us, right? And it just reminds me of this one of the things that from this Wired article, he references this meeting that former U.S. Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice had at a Stanford event on AI with a group of students who were visiting Latin America, and they felt like AI feels like something that's happening to them rather than a technology they're playing a role in shaping, right? So it's like, how do you circumvent or get around that feeling of something happening to you as opposed to for you, right? So that's something I want to lob in uh your direction, Hannah. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that is such a powerful statement to think about. And
Mm,
especially for the students listening, is how do you get to the point where you are being a part of shaping something and not just having it happen to you? I
mm,
think that is such a powerful thought, playing an active role in the future you want to see, the technologies you want to see. If you have concerns over the ethical use of AI or how AI is developing, being used, that is such an important thing to be thinking about, even now, because things are going to change. And if you're not engaging, if you're not learning, by the time you graduate from high school, a post secondary school, a college, if that's your plan, things are going to look different. And so I think this is a really good opportunity to talk about resources and setting yourself up for success.
yeah.
Because sometimes staying ahead of the curve really just comes down to research and being aware. Watch some YouTube videos, find some news articles, watch people using AI, watch people talk about how much they hate AI,
Mm,
and then think about what your opinions are based on what you've read, what you've heard. Think about how that resonates with you. Do you like how things are being used? Do you not like how things are being used? Is the job that you're interested in looking like it might change in the future? I know that software and programming is something that's used as the example a lot of times when talking about how things are going to change with AI. And
mm,
that some people on one side are saying AI is going to replace every single person in software. We're not going to need them. You're just going to need people who know how to put prompts into an AI system and it'll write all the code for themselves. But there's also a lot of people saying, yeah, AI can do some of the writing, but the human brain is still needed to double check that what it's writing is working, what it's writing is what you wanted. And so, doing your own research, figuring out what your thoughts are, is really going to help you figure out where you fall in that dichotomy of is it happening to you or are you helping to shape it? I
Yeah.
think another one is looking at what kind of jobs are out there. There's amazing resources like the US Bureau of Labor and Statistics Occupational Outlook Handbook.
Hmm.
It walks through every single career, industry that you might be interested in. It's got graphs about growth in the industry, whether the industry is declining, how much money people make on average, information about what the future of that job looks like. And I think that's another really important thing for students to be thinking about now
Yeah.
is explore what's out there because I promise there are so many more jobs than you think there are. There
Yeah.
are so many more industries, ways you can do the things you like. If you like working with your hands, not everything has to come down to the same couple of jobs that you might have heard about or that you know people working in.
Hmm.
And I think that's another big way to be a part of shaping the future that you want to see rather than just having it happen to you
Hmm.
is seeing what's out there. Know about as many different jobs as you possibly can because then you're going to start to see the connections. You're going to start to see that the knowledge from this job would also apply in this other job. Or if I worked here for a little bit, that would help me grow into this other job that I really want. This is an
Yeah.
industry I'm interested in, but it turns out that I could be, if you take the healthcare industry, for example, you can be a doctor. Everybody knows doctor, nurse, physician, those kind of things. But there's also biomedical engineers working on prosthetics. There's
Yeah.
mechanical engineers working on the machines
Yeah.
that doctors use. There's video game developers who are creating games for doctors, surgeons, practitioners to use to learn how to do their jobs. There's
Yeah.
writers, there's graphic designers, all within just the healthcare industry. And
Yeah.
so I think that is the thing that I would tell all of the students listening more than anything is just learn what's out there. Because I promise you, it's so much more than we hear about on social media or in school. There are so many other jobs out there that may or may not be affected by these changes, but learning what's out there is going to help you so much in shaping where you want to go.
Yeah. Really well said, Hannah. Really, really well said. And I agree with a lot of that. And for anyone listening who gets even just intimidated, thinking of like, oh, I think I want to do this job or this job or this job, da, 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 da. Like maybe if it's helpful, looking at instead of saying like, oh, this is the job I want to do or be for the rest of my life, just look at it as a path. It's a path, you know, and you don't have to stay on one path for the entirety of your professional career. Paths change, things change. The only constant in life is change, and to kind of get into the flow and the motion of life and of change, it's important to remain curious. When we were doing research for this episode, a lot of the things that people said in order to kind of get ahead of the curve or get ahead of change, or at the very least, maintain some kind of sense of equilibrium, is some of the things they said. A lot of it isn't even technical skills or hard skills. It's like embracing lifelong learning. So having a sense of curiosity and wonder, which I'm just going to say public education system does a very good job of working that out of people. But if you can maintain a sense of curiosity and wonder about the world around you and how things work and how things get down and how you fit into it, whatever makes your mind come alive, Very important. Other thing they say, develop soft skills. Um, AI is going to change a lot. However, AI is not going to replace that person to person interaction. Now, granted, I heard about there's like some like chat bots that you could talk to and they'll like talk to you like they're like your homies or something. And maybe they might have some soft skills, but nothing really replaces you know, like a face-to-face conversation or just talking with the actual human being. And uh communication, problem solving, collaboration, that is all going to be more and more important. So in a way, the changes that we're staring down are kind of forcing us to look inward and think about how we interact with others. Um, and then some of the other things that they mentioned is just being agile, adapting quickly to different circumstances, changing circumstances. How do you maintain some sort of mental agility, if you will? Again, I think it's just staying on top of the trends. Look for podcasts that are like these, but maybe some that have been around a little longer. Like there's this one podcast called This Week in Tech, and they cover all things that have to do with technology, STEM, um, current issues, AI, robots, PCs, privacy, digital, this and that. But this isn't just to promote their podcast, just like any podcast that or any form of information gathering you can do, like podcasts, YouTube videos, whatever. We truly, it's not called the information age for no reason. It's not for fun. Like it's true, it's real. Like this is where we're at. And then I think the one of the last things they say is like just to like specialize in something. Now, I don't think that this is I don't think this is like a this me personally pushing back. I think it's hard to try and tell people to specialize in something because not everybody's going to pick up on STEM stuff. I think maybe the people that are tuning into this podcast have an interest, right? But it's not going to be reasonable to ask everybody to specialize in something that has to do with technology, cyberspace, etc. That said, again, it's that call to go inward, I think. And what do I really like? What can I specialize in? That AI, whether it's AI or some other form of technology, can't necessarily take that specialization away from you or that certification or whatever. Just get really curious about yourself, I think, and then become a specialist in you. And I
I love
think you'll
that.
I heard, who did I hear that? Who did I hear that? I heard that from somebody. I can't claim that, but
It's
like,
yours
yeah.
now.
Okay, but yeah, those were some of the thoughts that are ringing around in my head when I was thinking about this episode and how to respond to change and how I'm responding to change.
Yeah.
Um,
I love those points because I think you brought up something else really important in all of that, that everything is always changing. We're changing as people, our lives are changing, our circumstances are changing. As
yeah.
we learn new things, we develop new brain pathways. We are not the same people that we ever were 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago. And I think applying that to the way that we look at work and jobs and the workforce is a really helpful thing.
Mm.
Like you said, maintaining curiosity and wonder, learning, exploring things that interest you. Those are only things that are going to help you be more hireable, more employable, keep a job longer, but also there's things that are going to help make you more satisfied with your job. They're going to help you find and create the job that you really want. They call those transferable skills a lot of times. That if you're a good writer, that's a transferable skill. But things like learning, curiosity, wonder, those are transferable skills.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to the very beginning of this episode, there is probably not a technical reason for the job that I do right now that I can tell you all about the de-extinction work that is going on globally to bring back the woolly mammoth,
Yeah.
but it's something I love. It's something I'm fascinated by. And maybe that specific knowledge doesn't help me on a day to day basis, but the act of learning helps me so much. Knowing how to do my own research, knowing how to Google things, look up what interests me, dig deeper, even if it's just reading Wikipedia articles. You are learning so much and you're learning things that are going to apply someday. I never thought I'd get to talk about woolly mammoths on a podcast, but here we
Yeah,
are, right?
there it is. There it
That
is. Yeah.
sense of wonder has brought us all to this point, and it's only going to help you go further. So I love all of those points. I thought those were fantastic and such a positive way to end out an episode like this, that change can be scary sometimes. And we hear a lot of scary things about AI and about how work is changing. You mentioned earlier, lots of jobs are changing, some may be going away.
Mm,
But knowing that we also change, but also that there are steps we can take. You laid out great steps that every single person can take on a day to day basis. It doesn't have to be this big thing. You're not telling people to enroll in classes, change your major, go for another degree, drop out of high school and go right into college, whatever it might be. You're just telling people to think and explore
yeah.
and dig into who they are and what they like. And
Yeah.
I think that is a fantastic way to approach the world.
Yeah. Yeah. And if anybody is like, well, how do I start? How do I discover things about myself? I would say a couple things you could do. Keep a journal. If you are versed to writing, you can do an audio journal. But just really hearing your own thoughts, reading your own thoughts, and what that might look like on a day to day. It doesn't have to be a daily thing. Uh, but like really become a student of yourself and like study those things about yourself. Like I've been keeping a journal. I've been writing in it like semi regularly. Just really getting back into it now because I've seen a really positive effect in doing that. And boy, let me tell you, yeah, it's giving me a better sense of self, which I think is so important to maintain in a world where we're just trying to really finding out who you are or is so so many things out there trying to that you can look to be like, do I need to be this way, do I need to be that way, do I need to be a tech person, do I need to be an art person, but yeah, start here. And I agree, Hannah. I think this is a great way to kind of wrap up this part of the conversation. And yeah, I think we're on a good track. This was a great discussion.
Make sure you all are staying tuned for upcoming episodes. We're going to be diving deeper into a bunch of different related topics. We'll go deeper into AI and how it's changing, how it can be used, what the future's looking like with that, as well as a bunch of different industries. And as always, reach out with your questions. You can find us on all social medias. Just search for Let's Go Boys and Girls, as well as you can find all of our socials in the show notes for this episode. Reach out with any questions. We love hearing from you, and we'll catch you in a couple weeks.
Bye, y'all. Take care.
Today's podcast episode is sponsored by Let's Go. Let's Go is a 501c3 nonprofit organization committed to generating opportunities for youth and young adults through STEM education and workforce development.